Good day. Today we will be discussing Chapter 1, Lesson 11, Measurement Scale. Scaling is the procedure for the assignment of numbers or other symbol to a property of objects in order to impart some of the characteristics of numbers to the properties in questions. Selecting a measurement scale. Selecting and constructing a measurement scale requires the consideration of several factors that influence the reliability, validity, and practicality of the scale. Number 1, scaling or measurement scaling must be dependent on the research objectives. Research objectives are too numerous to list, including but not limited to studies of attitude, attitude change, persuasion, awareness, purchase intention, cognition and action, actual and repeat purchase. Researchers, however, face two general types of scaling objectives: to measure characteristics of the participants who participate in the study, to use participant as judge of the object or indicant presented to them. So, based on the research objectives, the participants can be the sole source of the data, or the respondents will be measured by means of its characteristics or the subject itself. Response type. Measurement scale fall into one of four general types: the rating, the ranking, categorization, and sorting. Rating is used when participants score an object or indicant without making direct comparison to any subject or attitude. For example, if you will rate the satisfaction of your satisfaction on the service provided by this company, what would it be? 5 will be the highest and 1 will be the lowest. So that is an example of rating scale. Ranking scale constrains the participants to making comparison and determining order among two or more properties or object. So if you have 5 options, then you will have to rank if you are asked to from the highest to lowest, or vice versa, lowest to highest. Categorization, it is used to group participants such as religion, ethnicity, etc. All you have to do is to classify those respondents. Sorting requires the participants sort cards representing the concept or construct into piles using criteria established by the researcher. The cards might contain photos or images or verbal statements of product feature. So this is usually done in some activities that are related to the nature or to serve the purpose of your study. The data properties. Decision about the choice of measurement scales are often made with regards to the data properties generated by each scale. As what I have discussed earlier, nominal scale classifies data into categories without indicating order, distance, or unique origin. Interval scales have both order and distance but no unique origin. Ratio scale possess all four property features. The assumption underlying each level of scale undermine how a particular measurement scale's data will be analyzed. So, classifying data is very important, especially when you do coding of data and selecting what are appropriate statistical tools for every data treatment. Balance or unbalanced. A balanced rating scale has an equal number of categories about and below the midpoint. Later on, I will be showing the types of scaling that can be used in different type of study. Generally, rating scale should be balanced with an equal number of favorable or unfavorable response choices. For example, outstanding, very satisfactory, neutral, poor, and good and poor. So we have the 3 point is neutral, 2 is highest, and 2 is lowest. So that is a balanced scale. However, scales may be balanced with or without any differences or midpoint option. A balanced scale might take the form of very good, good, average, poor, very poor. An unbalanced rating scale has an equal number of favorable and unfavorable response choices. An example of unbalanced scale that has only one favorable description or descriptive term and 4 favorable term is poor, fair, good, very good, and excellent. Forced or unforced choices. An unforced choice rating scale provides participants with an opportunity to express no opinion when they are unable to make choice among alternative offered. So you are given only options, and out of that option, you need to select either multiple, you will have to rank, or you will have to select only one. A forced choice rating scale requires that participants select one of the offered alternatives. Researchers often exclude the response choice no opinion, undecided, don't know, uncertain, or neutral when they know that most participants have an attitude on the topic. So, some of the researchers avoid using this one because might be some of the respondents will choose out of the option given. Number 6, number of scale point. A scale point should be appropriate for its purpose. For a scale to be useful, it should match the stimulus presented and extract information proportionately or proportionate to the complexity of the attitude, the object concept, or construct. A product that requires little effort or though to purchase is habitually bought or has a benefit that fades quickly can be measured generally by simple scaling. You can have 3-point scale, 5-point scale, 7, and 9. A 3-point scale, better than average, average, and worse than average, is probably sufficient for a deodorant, a fast food burger, gift wrapping, or a snack. That is for a simple study. When the product is complex, plays an important role in the consumer's life, and is costly, example financial service, luxury good, automobiles, and other high involvement products. A scale with 5 to 11 points should be considered. So we have different characteristics of scale type: dichotomous, multiple choice, checklist, rating, ranking, and free response. So the type of scale is dichotomous is nominal, multiple choice, nominal, ordinal, or ratio. Checklist, nominal, rating, ordinal, or interval. Ranking, ordinal, free response, nominal, or ratio. In terms of usual number of answer alternative provided, dichotomous is 2, multiple choice is 3 to 10, checklist is 10 or fewer, rating 3 to 7, ranking 10 or fewer, and free response none. Desired number of participants for dichotomous is 1, multiple choice is 1, checklist 10 or fewer, rating 1 per item, ranking 7 or fewer, free response is 1. For the desired number of participants answered for dichotomous is 1, multiple choice is 1, checklist 10 or fewer, rating 1 per item, ranking 7 or fewer, and free response is 1. Used to provide classification, that is for dichotomous, multiple choice, classification, order or specific numerical estimate, for the checklist, classification, for the rating, order or distance, for the ranking, order, and for the free response, classification, order, or specific numerical estimates. On the rater's error, the value of rating scale depends on the assumption that a person can and will make good judgment before accepting participants' rating. We should consider their tendency to make errors of central tendency and halo effects. Some raters are reluctant to give extreme judgment, and this fact account for the error of the central tendency. Participants may be easy raters or hard raters, making that is called an error of leniency. So we are providing error is actually normal and natural when we making the research. So that's why we are providing margin of errors. These errors must often occur when the rater does not know the object or properly being rated. So it's the task of the researcher to guide properly their respondents. To address these tendencies, researchers can adjust the strength of descriptive adjectives, the description of your topic. Space the intermediate descriptive phrases farther apart. Provide smaller differences in meaning between the steps near the end of the scale than between the steps near the center. Use more points in scaling. So you can use 5 to 11 points for more complex study, and you can have also scaling that is near the end or near the center. Later on this discussion, I will be showing you the different images of types of scaling. The halo effect is a systematic bias that the rater introduced by carrying over a generalized impression of the subject from one rating to another. When the respondent is credible, or shall we say, if the topic is obvious, then sometimes the reader has this mental state that he or she will not be serious in answering the survey questionnaire. An instructor expects the students who does well on the first question of an examination to do well on the second. With that mental state, you are making yourself driven by the emotion. You conclude a report is good because you like its form, or believe someone is intelligent because you agree with him or her. So you are persuaded by this effect, no? That is the halo effect. Halo is especially difficult to avoid when the properties being studied is not clearly defined. It's not easily observed. It's not frequently discussed. Involved reaction with others, or of it is a trait of high moral importance. Ways of counteracting the halo effect includes having the participants rate one trait at a time, revealing one trait per page, or periodically revising the terms that anchor the endpoint of the scale. So positive attributes are not always on the same end of each scale. So here are the different rating scale. The simple category scale, dichotomous data, is nominal. The simple category scale, also called is dichotomous scale, offer two mutually exclusive response choices. They are yes or no, but they could just as easily be important or unimportant, agree or disagree. Example, here is the question: when the product will be released in the market, I am willing to purchase it. So you have to only answer, so yes or no. Since it is nominal, you cannot say that no is higher or vice versa, yes is higher. So that is a nominal type of data. Multiple choice single response scale. The data is also nominal. This is applicable when there are multiple options for the rater but only one answer is required. Example, what product line of shirt do you usually purchase? Oxygen, Jug, Bunny, Hammerhead, other, please specify. So the respondents will only answer or select one answer. Multiple choice, multiple response scale data. This type of scaling allows the rater to select one or several alternatives. For example, on the stress and coping mechanism. Stressor is task design. So what is the level of a stressor? Are you stressed with the task design? Never, sometimes, often, almost always. So what are your coping mechanism? So I look for something good. So you have the multiple options. So the complexity of your questionnaire depends on your study. Likert scale, summated rating. The data is interval because we have now the absolute value. The Likert scale was developed by Rinsen-Likert, is the most frequently used variation of the summated rating scale. Summated rating scale consists of statements that express either a favorable or unfavorable attitude towards the object of interest. The participant is asked to agree or disagree with each statement. Each response is given a numerical score to reflect its degree of attitudinal favorableness, and the scores may be summed to measure the participant's overall attitude. So example, the internet in school is fast and reliable. Are you strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree? So this is a 5-point Likert scale. Semantic differential scale. The data is interval. So the semantic differential scale measured the psychological meaning of an attitude object using bipolar adjectives. So you are using the two adjective to compare the result or the response of your respondents. Researchers use this scale for studies such as brand and institutional images. The method consists of a set of bipolar rating scale, usually 7-point, by which one or more participants rate one or more concept on each item. For example, the internet, fast or slow. So either you will have to neutral, so you will have to check on the center, highly quality or low quality. So that is the semantic differential scale or the interval which has the origin. Numerical scale. Data is either ordinal or interval. Numerical scale have equal intervals that separate their numeric scale points. The verbal anchors serve as the label for the extreme points. Numerical scale are often 5-point scale but may have 7 or 10-point. The participant write a number from the scale next to each item. If numerous questions about the product's performance were included in the example, the scale would provide both an absolute measure of importance and a relative measure of various items rated. So here is an example of the rating numerical scaling. So provide quality service. How will you rate? Outstanding to poor. Knowledgeable in their work, outstanding to poor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 is outstanding and 1 is poor. Facilitating its client, outstanding or poor. Multiple rating list scale. Data is ordinal or interval. So you can have order on this, or either you can have an origin data. A multiple rating list scale is similar to the numerical scale but differs in two ways. It accepts a circle response from the rater, and the layout facilitate visualization of the result. The advantage is that a mental map of the participant's evaluation is evident to both the rater and the researcher. So, please indicate how important or unimportant each service is. Important, so fast and reliable. The same with the semantic. Important, we are using two contradicting adjectives. So, in the level, fast, reliable repair. So, 7 or 6 or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 7 is the highest. 7 is nearest to important. And 1 is nearest to unimportant. In terms of accessibility, so that is, or it is, the example of the rating scale. Next, constant sum scale. A scale that helps the researcher discover proportion is the constant sum scale. With a constant sum scale, the participants allocate points to more than one attribute or property indicant or indicator, such as they total a constant sum of 100 or 10. Like for example, with the following attributes of the company. How do you rate the following? Provide lowest cost of raw materials, 70. Provide durable materials, 30. Total is 100%. Staple scale. So this type of data is ordinal or interval. The staple scale or the staple scale is used as an alternative to the semantic differential, especially when it is difficult to find bipolar adjectives that match the investigative question. So this is somewhat the same with the semantics, but the semantics has two bipolar adjectives, but in this type, if you have difficulty in finding bipolar adjective, then you can use the staple scale. Technology leader, so at least you can rate 5 up or 5 down. Exciting products, 5 up, 5 down. World-class reputation, 5 up, 5 down. So it's up to you on how you will design your questionnaire. Graphical rating, data, ordinal or interval or ratio. The graphic rating scale was originally created to enable researchers to discern fine differences. Theoretically, an infinite number of ratings are possible if participants are sophisticated enough to differentiate and record them. The difficulty is in coding and analysis. The scale requires more time than scales with predetermined categories. So like for example, how likely you will share the technology to your friends. So you will have to emphasize very likely or very unlikely without lines to identify if it is neutral or likely, unlikely or very likely. Now in the ranking scale. In ranking scale, the participants directly compares 2 or more objects and make choices among them. Frequently, the participants is asked to select one of the best or the most preferred. When there are only 2 choices, this approach is satisfactory, but it often results in ties when more than 2 choices are found. Example, paired comparison scale, ordinal. So you will have to rank your preferred and not preferred brands. For each pair of brands, what would you prefer most? So that is the ranking paired comparison. For KitKat Toblerone, Nike Adidas, Louis Vuitton Prada, Hammerhead Oxygen. Forced ranking scale, data is ordinal. Rank the following based on your priority. If you priority technology over food, then so be it. No, it's up to the respondents. Comparative scale, ordinal data. Compare your previous tea to the introduced tea product. So superior, is it superior? Not? About the same? Inferior? So this is the comparative scaling. You're comparing two products, the introduced products and the existing products. So thank you very much.